I would just sit down with you and your husband and I would just say, hey, we love you, but we're raising the rent. It's going to be more comparable to what is going on outside because we want you to get a good feel for what it's like to live independently. You're welcome to stay here, but we're going to be raising the rent. Now, she can save the rent and then whenever he does move out, give it to him and it's a nice little nest egg if she wants to, but don't tell him that. So collect the rent, at least get it up to $500 to $800.
Oh my goodness, I thought she was going to say like $200.
Well, she's already charging him $200. She says a couple hundred.
Oh, okay.
So I would raise it more than double. I would get it to $500 to $800. You cannot find rent out there for $800. So it's still a bargain.
It is, but man, I was not expecting.
Okay, well.
She's turned up the heat, y'all.
That's right. Welcome to Wire Talk. I'm so excited today about our topic. We're going to be talking about adult children. Whether your children are in college or they're working independently or they're just having a hard time launching themselves, we're going to give you some tips and tools on how to help them thrive in that season of life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wire Talk. I'm Emily, your co-host for Wire Talk, and I'm so glad you're here. And with me is the Karen Stubbs.
The Karen Stubbs.
Or AKA Mom, Mother, Hey Mom, Mimi, Mom,
all
Karen,
the things.
All of the things.
Or as Taylor says, Mama.
Yeah, but I feel like he's claimed that one and nobody else can.
Well, he doesn't like it if anybody else calls me Mama. It's like, that was my word.
That was
for
my
you.
word. I'm like, whatever. Do you know what's funny is I feel like this month has been the month of matching.
Because
so the first week, we both wore pink.
Yes.
And then last week we had a guest speaker, Wellesley, and she was literally wearing the same exact outfit with the shirt and the white pants and the tinnies. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's in my wardrobe for this week. And so that was last week. And then this week I'm matching her, but we're also wearing white pants.
Yes. I love it.
So crazy.
Listen, the wardrobe is a big deal.
I feel like we got to stop talking about it, though. They don't care.
Well, they do care.
They do care. You're right.
I've had moms come up to me and say, I'm now watching you on YouTube because I want to see what you and Emily are wearing.
Oh, well, just kidding. Y'all do care. Y'all do care. You care. Well, it's the middle of September.
Yes.
Which means two things have happened. One, Grayson is now 4.
So big.
And 2, 3 things. 2, college football is back up.
The best.
Yes.
SEC football.
And 3, you're back from your trip.
I'm back from my trip. And also the Teachable is launched.
And 4, that's probably the most important, not college football, but it is pretty important. Teachable of Survival Guide to Motherhood, ages 0 through 5, is launched. It's going to be amazing. I hope you guys are doing it.
And I don't know if it's still going, but the Thrive coupon, all caps Thrive, if it is still going.
Yeah. But if not, sorry.
Catch it on the
you
next.
lose. Yeah. I feel like that's a very Karen thing to say.
Snooze, you lose.
Yeah, just because you're like, well, it's over.
Yeah, sorry.
So it's okay. Well, Mom, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are going to talk about helping your grown kids thrive, college stress, independence, and failure to launch. Great questions.
Great questions.
And let's just go because I feel like these are good questions and we just need to get to them.
Okay. I will say this. I have no expertise in this.
So you're not going to be sharing?
I will not be sharing any of my amazing wisdom with you guys today. But
I don't know. I feel like this first one, this was you.
Guys, this was me.
So let's read
just
it.
See what it says. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, you haven't read the questions yet.
I have, of course. I didn't think it was me, but maybe it was.
I thought it was you.
Question 1. My daughter has just started college and she is already struggling with time management and stress.
Time management? You freshman year?
Mom, I am trying to read a question. Okay, she called me in tears last night because she felt so overwhelmed by her classes. I tried to encourage her, but when I hung up, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. How can I help her when I'm so far away and there's nothing I can do for her?
I think it's a great question.
It is a great question.
You don't
kind of was maybe me a little bit.
Your freshman year? I feel like it was. But here's the deal. I told you, and I'm going to tell this mom.
Yep.
I think we do have to encourage them. And I just said, Emily, let's look at your calendar and where are some areas where you could devote an hour or 2 to studying. Because let's be honest, you didn't really have to study hard in high school. You studied, but not like college level.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
Yeah.
College is a whole different breed.
Yes.
And I mean, sometimes it would be multiple chapters on the test,
Yes.
not just one.
Yes.
And you had a bad habit your freshman year of not reading the book.
I mean, let's be real, through high school too.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. In college, you definitely, and I said, have you read the chapter? And you're like, no. And I'm like, you're college. You have to start reading the chapters. It's just the way it is. So point the daughter or son in the right direction on how to tighten up their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we just have to sort of help them see, oh, I do have some space here. Because you know how college is. You get back to the dorm, everybody's talking, you join in the rooms. Oh, let's go to town. Let's get this. Let's do that. Okay, yeah, I can go. But just to carve out, these are going to be my study times. And then introduce them to this place called the library that's on their campus.
Yeah.
I mean, and you were like, Mom, I went to the library and I actually studied. And I'm like,
Do you want to know why I studied in the library?
Why?
Because at Auburn, there's a quiet floor
Yeah,
and you literally can't talk to anybody.
that's right.
And nobody could talk to me.
right.
And if you talked, you had to get out of the floor.
That's right.
And I was like,
And my little social butterfly over here,
I just want to talk
she
to everybody.
needed that because if she's around people, she's going to be talking.
Yes, that's very
So,
true.
and actually, I think it's good, Mom, that you're not there to help her. She will figure it out. It's like throwing a child in the deep end. They can swim, but they don't have the confidence, and they will finally get to the edge of the pool.
That's true.
Does that make sense? I'm not saying we throw a child in the pool and they don't know how to swim, but they've got to learn, and
Yeah.
it's sink or swim time, and she will figure it out just like we all do. So it might be good that the mom is far away. And I know it makes us moms feel like, ooh, I want to help, I want to help, I want to fix. It's time for the adult daughter to start figuring it out. And the last thing to do is pray. Don't ever forget your prayers.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm going to pray, but
Really
Really.
be specific.
and I remember you've told me throughout my life, Emily, I'm going to be praying for you, but that I'm going to be praying for, and you would give me something specific.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at some point I was like, oh, you're just praying. It's so annoying. But looking back, I'm like, I really do feel like that helped. You know what I mean?
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a high schooler and
No,
college
I
student,
know. Yeah.
you don't want your mom to be like, let me pray for you.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to come over and do my homework for me.
Right.
That's what I want you to do. I mean, let's be real. That's what these kids want. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, they want, mom's always been there to help you study or quiz you or whatever, and you've got to figure it out for the first time by yourself. It's hard.
But that's part of growing up.
That is hard part of
I
growing
think
up.
college, more than learning the book skills, is learning the maturing skills of just life.
Yeah.
Time management is a learning skill of an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you get into your job, you have to manage your time,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Absolutely.
So,
It's a big skill. It's a big skill.
big skill. They got to learn it.
Hey moms, it's Katie, and I'm so excited to share some big news with you today. Birds on a Wire Moms has just launched an app, and it's going to be a game changer. If you've ever had a question about balancing motherhood and faith, this is your one-stop shop. Inside the app, you'll have access to 4 of Karen's curriculums, all of her sessions from every SOAR conference, a completely searchable library of Wire Talk episodes, and my favorite feature, the Ask Karen function. Do you have a burning question? Well, send it in, and not only will you get an email response, but you could also be featured on an upcoming episode. Plus, you can stream all of the Birds on a Wire Moms content right to your smart TV. It's never been easier to find the answers you're looking for quickly and easily. So head to the App Store or wherever you get your apps, download the Birds on a Wire Moms app, and start exploring today. All right, let's get back to the show.
Moving right along, we have question number 2. My son is 24 and recently moved to Colorado. We live in Texas for a new job. I miss him so much. I'm sure you do, sweet mama. We had a pretty good relationship all throughout high school and college years. Recently, he started dating someone in Colorado, and it's hard to get him to share much of anything about her. I see pictures on social media, but without having met her, I just feel like he's growing away from me. Is this just a normal thing for moms and sons to go through? We still have kids at home, and we have only been able to go and visit him in Colorado right when he moved out. We can't get up there, but maybe once a year.
Well, this is hard, but I also think it's very normal, especially with our sons, because sons just naturally mature and want to be independent. I mean, honestly, Taylor started it in college. I mean, he was very independent. And then whenever he graduated from college, he went to flight school in Pensacola, Florida. He was busy with that. And he would call, but not as much as he did in college. He didn't come home because he didn't have the free time. And whenever he did have free time, he had to study because of flight school. Then he moved to Virginia, same thing. He was in the squadron up there. Then he met Sarah. And then all of a sudden his free time was going towards Sarah, which is all good. So I just felt like I can either take this one or two ways. I can take it like we're growing apart, or my son is growing up. He's becoming a man. And I need to look at it in that way because that's a good thing, you know? And I wanted him to be committed to his bride, his new bride, and Sarah, and to be all invested in her. And he did a great job with that. And so instead of feeling threatened by her, I just felt like, you know, this is what I have prayed for his whole life. I have prayed that someone would come along, would love him for who he is, would accept him and just be his biggest cheerleader. And that is Sarah for Taylor. Now they've just recently had their little first baby, little girl, and I've sort of been bumped down again. But once again, that's okay. It doesn't mean Taylor doesn't love me anymore. It doesn't mean we don't have a close relationship, because we do. Our conversations are shorter, but he still does call me. I still call him. It's a nice thing. So the best thing I can do as a mother-in-law and as a mother to my son is honestly get to know Sarah and be her friend and her confidant and her companion, and not be a threat to her, and to love her and Addie as I would you and your kids. You know what I'm saying? So the best way to get to a son is through the wife. And you're not going to, if you make enemies, not that this mom is, but if you make enemies with your daughter-in-law, you're pretty much writing your own script of writing yourself out of their life. So don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this mom isn't. She's just saying, we don't get up to Colorado as much, but you can do other things. You can send care packages up there. You can send him money and say, hey, take you and your girlfriend out to dinner.
Oh, that's a cute idea.
You know, y'all go have a good time on us, on Dad and I. We can't be there, but we want to celebrate y'all's new relationship. You know, you can make efforts towards your son, even though he's several states away. He hasn't left her, but he is a man, and now he has different priorities. And you are probably a little lower on his list. That's okay. That doesn't mean he loves you less.
Yeah. I do think it's just also from like a sister side of it thing. Like Taylor, I mean, one time he said, your kids aren't going to know who I am. And I'm like, Taylor, that's not true. Like, you know, we talk about you all the time. And like Grayson the other day, he was like, I want to talk to Taylor. And I'm like, okay. And I think one thing that you've said that stuck with me is just be happy and thankful for the time that you get.
Absolutely.
I think like especially with Christmas time and like holidays, and not only Taylor being the only boy, but also we have now 4 married kids and 4
extended families. Y'all have in-law families.
Right. And whatever it is, it does feel, whenever we're trying to figure out the schedules, and you are very open. Hey, this is our home. It is open for you guys. We would love for you to be here, but we might still go do this and this without you guys. But like, just because you're not all here, it's going to be okay.
Right.
Like, and you just have a good attitude about that.
Well, thank you. I try. You know, it's hard.
I'm sure it is hard.
And jealousy does creep in there, but we just have to, jealousy's bad. So we have to keep that at bay.
I do pray for Grayson's wife.
Why?
I hope because I want her to be sweet for him one day down the road. But, you know, I am praying for her.
Well, good. Yeah. As I did for Sarah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right. Question 3. My daughter has been living in her own apartment for about 6 months. She texts me consistently for my input on everything from cooking to budgeting to job advice. While I love hearing from her and helping her, I'm worried I'm becoming her crutch. How can I encourage her to be more confident, independent in her decision making?
I love this. That's such a great question. It's such a practical question.
Yes.
So I think maybe instead of answering your daughter right away, like, this is what I think you should do, or this is how you do it, just say, what do you think? She's got to grow those muscles of independent thinking. And it is her first round of cooking. It's her first round of time management. It's her first round of budgeting and all the things. and then let her hear her opinion, and then you can say, well, this is how I do it, or you might try this kind of thing. But I would just start off, what do you think? What do you think is the best choice? And then wait and let her decide. I always think of it this way. When Taylor and Sarah first moved to California, I went out to help them set up their house. And Taylor's house looked very much like a bachelor. Everything was American flag. Everything.
Amen to that.
And so Sarah said to me, I love Taylor's stuff, but I want to make it more my own. And I said, okay. When she said, will you go shopping with me? And I said, of course. So we went to Hobby Lobby first, and we were just standing there, and Sarah had never really had her own home. And so I said, okay, we'll start in the den. Pick some things that you would like. And she just stood there and she said, what do you like? Because she didn't know.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I see lots of things right now that I would pick for my den, but it's not my den. It's your den. And I said, I want you just to pick one thing that you like. Let's just pick some color schemes that you like. And then we'll start there and we'll build out from there. And I had to be patient with her because she really did not know what she wanted. But we waited. We walked around the store several times. And then she said, okay, I like this. And I said, okay, great. Now, what else would go with this? And then that's when I would start guiding her. Once I saw her initial thing, this is what she likes, I would say, do you like this or do you prefer this? And she'd be like, I like that. And I'm like, okay. So it just took time. But she had never done it before. She wanted it.
It's overwhelming.
She only had a certain amount of money. You know, it is overwhelming. And she wanted it to look nice. So I tried to really be, not just come in and this is what I would do, this, and this, because then it's going to look like my house. So the cool thing is we went home, we placed everything. There was this one whole section that she picked out from start to finish. And she ended up, that was her favorite thing.
Aww.
And it really was sweet. And she would text me and be like, every time I walk in this room, I just light up. I love the mirror and the pictures that we put on either side. It's so perfect. And so the cool thing is, whenever they moved to Key West, she did the whole thing by herself, placing everything. And whenever we were down there visiting for Addie, I kept telling her, you did such a good job on setting all this up. And she just lit up like a Christmas tree. Well, thank you. I really enjoyed it. She'd learned how to love it. So that's what you have to do with your daughter. Just sort of help her grow her muscles in that way of thinking.
That's a really good example.
Well, thanks.
Well, thanks.
I'm just old, guys. So, just a lot of life experience.
Well, and as the other end of it, I do call you and text you all the time. So you've had to make me grow my muscles too.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm very honored that any of y'all would call me. So I appreciate that. And I just don't want to be overpowering and be like, do this, 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 and this. And also realize that y'all are on limited budgets.
Yeah.
So you can't, do it up like Pinterest all the time.
No. And that's okay.
That's okay.
So, all right. Well, Mom, this is our last question.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But this is a long one, which is fine. But my ADD brain takes a minute. So I've got to I made the font 72. So it's I can do one line at a time. So
Emily, we support you.
Thank you.
In this journey.
Thank you.
Go.
Okay. All right. This is our last question. Question 4. I desperately need some mom wisdom. I have a son I'm starting to feel is a failure to launch at this point in time. He went to college straight out of high school and spent a few semesters taking classes while he was still living at home, but decided school wasn't a good fit and dropped out to start working. We were fine with that because he seemed to have a plan. He wanted to go into welding and down the tech route. Fast forward 6 months and he decided that's not the right fit for him either. Now he's making okay money working at a local retail store, but with rent super high everywhere, it's not like he'll be moving out anytime soon. We were charging him a very nominal rate, a couple $100 a month, because we wanted him to be saving up. But then he went out and bought a nice car, which drained all his savings. Every time we ask about going back to school or looking into tech programs, it turns into an argument. He's still only 22, so I feel torn between thinking he has time to figure it out and get going and watching all of my friends' kids starting to graduate and getting real jobs. Karen, help, what would you do?
This one's difficult, and I hear her. What would I do? I would raise the heat in the house, to be quite honest. I would raise his rent. And I would just say, hey, you're 22 years old. It's going to be an argument. He's going to get defensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just brace yourself for it. And I would just sit down with you and your husband. And I would just say, hey, we love you, but we're raising the rent. It's going to be more comparable to what is going on outside because we want you to get a good feel for what it's like to live independently. You're welcome to stay here, but we're going to be raising the rent. Now, she can save the rent, and then whenever he does move out, give it to him, and it's a nice little nest egg if she wants to, but don't tell him that. So collect the rent, at least get it up to $500 to $800. And even,
oh my goodness, I thought she was going to say like $200.
Well, she's already charging him $200. She says a couple hundred.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a couple hundred a month. So I would raise it more than double. I would get it to $500 to $800. You cannot find rent out there for $800. So it's still a bargain.
It is, but man, I was not expecting that.
Okay, well.
She's turned up the heat, y'all.
That's right. And then I would also sit down and say, let's look at your life plan so far. Like, you're at this retail store, you're making X amount of money. What will this look like in 5 years? What will it look like in 10 years? Is this where you want to be? Let him answer you.
Yeah.
And if he gets defensive and marches off, I would just say, I'd leave it with him. I wouldn't chase him down. And I would just say, son, if this is where you want to be, that's great. We support you in it.
Right.
But if you want to be independent and all of that, eventually get a girlfriend and get married and all the things, you're more than likely going to have to make more than what this retail store is paying you. And so what do you need to do in that? And sometimes when you start off in college, you may not feel like it's the right thing, but you need to keep going, at least get a degree that whenever you get out, you have a degree. And with the degree, at least comes a higher status of employment. It just does. Also a tech job.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the tech people, I think that's almost the way to go these days because electricians, plumbers,
like
HVAC.
You said welding.
Yeah, welding, it's a lost art.
Yeah.
And I tell my plumber all the time, you make a ton of money. I know you do because I pay you a ton of money. You know what I'm saying? And he's the nicest guy. But he just laughs at me. But I know he's sitting on a lot of money because they can charge it and we're going to pay it. We have to.
Because you don't know how to fix it.
We don't know how to do plumbing. That's right. So I would just say you don't have to go to college, but you do need to pick a career path and get going. Let Dad and I help support you. But in that, you're going to have to sort of turn up the heat a little bit and make it uncomfortable. Otherwise, he will be there when he's 30 years old.
Yeah. Brian's parents, he lived with them until we got married, and they charged him rent and did not tell him. But then when he moved out, they gave him all that money back. Yeah. It was really nice because we used it as a down payment for our house.
That's right.
But I mean, he said it was nice because I knew it wasn't just like a free ride. So he said it was, at times he's like, I wish it wasn't free. But I mean, it was good for him.
Yeah. Well, it is good for them because it helps them realize the value of the dollar. And you don't realize that unless you're paying for things. It's just like whenever y'all were in high school, can I have money for this? Can I have money for that? And when we just gave it to you, you did not.
We just flippantly spent it.
Yeah, you were just like, okay, thanks, bye. And money grows on trees. But whenever you had to pay for it, all of a sudden it's a different story. Do I really want this Coke at the movie theater? I don't want to pay $5 for that.
Yeah.
So it's time to turn up the heat.
Okay.
Turn it up in love.
That's good. Well, Mom, that's all the questions we have for today.
All right.
But do you have any other final nugget of wisdom you want to leave with these sweet moms as we talked about all of these things?
Yeah.
Today?
I think with our adult children, we have to give them space so they can learn, so they can fail, so they can try again. And we just need to encourage them and love them through the whole process.
It's great.
And try not to lecture them. They already know what you're going to say because they've been around you for 18 plus years. So just try to be patient with them and just say, let their actions have the consequences that need to play out.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Wire Talk, everyone. We are so grateful you guys are here. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe so other people can hear about Wire Talk. And hopefully you can take some of this wisdom and start using some practical solutions in your journey of motherhood. And we will see you guys next week.